Welcome in, Snider Panther basketball fans. This is our first edition of the Take 3 Coaches Show, and I am your host, Tim Atkinson. Today we have program leader and head coach of the Panthers, head coach Jeremy Roush, joining us, and he will each and every week to bring you up-to-date info and behind-the-scenes look on the Snider Panther basketball program. Coach Roush, thanks for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
Let's start here on the first week with what you had going on this summer for you and the staff, players. What was going on this past summer?
So it's nice, this is our first week of official practice, and so ultimately it feels like things slow down a little bit. When we're in our off season, we're growing our youth program, we're developing our coaches, we're taking our guys out of town, and so now we can kind of take a big deep breath and just focus on just coaching our team. So some of the things we try to get done in the off season, we want to develop our youth program and develop the skill sets of those kids. Had a great great turnout for camp this summer. We had about 110 kids. Wow. We had like 95 last year. Wow. So just a really good turnout with that, and I think that's a good sign of the momentum of our program. And then just recently we instituted our first Snider basketball coaches clinic, where we invited anybody who's coaching our club teams, our middle school teams, our high school coaches, obviously, other coaches in the community that just kind of want to learn about the game, invited them to one of our workouts, talked about some of our main offenses, and we had a great turnout there. We had, I think, 10 to 12 coaches there. Yeah. Coach Marino, our freshman coach, led that, and that's really rewarding too, is to be able to see coaches that we've worked with now that not only buy into what we do with our guys, but help promote those visions for our other coaches as well.
Yeah, it's a very busy weekend, obviously, for head coach Jeremy Roush and staff. Let's talk a little bit about your kids and last year. Very young roster last year, obviously, due to graduation. Mm-hmm. Struggled at times. But the players did play very well in conference play, mm-hmm. Not so much out of conference, but in conference play, played very well. Tell us what you've seen with the underclassmen from a year ago to this year, and then the progression that you see coming.
Yeah, so we return first team all-conference Dylan Duff as a junior. So, obviously we'll kind of be relying on him in terms of experience and in terms of just kind of leadership and work ethic. Michael Ely was second team all-conference last year, and so those two guys have the experience and kind of knows what it takes to compete at a high level and with varsity basketball in this area, which is so high.
Right.
And then Jay Sean Underwood started some games. Isaac Farnsworth was right there, so we are returning some guys that kind of know a little bit about what we want to do. And we're not anticipating anybody now who has known high school basketball in any other way. Maybe with the exception of a move-in or two, but otherwise, our 3-year players know what we want, know the expectations, know kind of what it takes on a day-in, day-out basis, and so now it's kind of time to go.
You mentioned Dylan Duff and Michael Ely. What do you expect out of them this year? Still young players, yeah. A junior and a sophomore there. What do you expect for them leadership-wise, off the court and on the court from your two folks?
I think those guys have been doing a better job of being vocal. But more so than anything, high school leadership to me is modeled leadership. Yes. They just have to show what it takes to get through the grind of a practice or get through the grind of a full game or the emotional roller coaster of an up and down season and those types of things. And so we want our best players. I would say, it starts with Michael and Dylan. We want those guys to be our hardest workers. Mm-hmm. And if they're our hardest workers and they're the ones that are going to be allowed to be coached hard and be resilient and have that toughness, then everybody else will fall in line. And so when our best players are our hardest workers, our ceiling's really high.
So that is the case of if your best players are your hardest workers, that just sets the tone for your
Absolutely.
Team. Is that what you're saying?
Absolutely. Yep, no question.
Now, besides, of course, we know about those two phenomenal players. Mm-hmm. Who do you expect, any newcomers, freshmen from last year, mm-hmm. Who do you expect to step up and give you solid minutes this year?
Well, one of the pillars of our program is player development. And so, and part of it is the guy's willingness to go through the process of maybe freshman basketball to JV and then from JV to varsity. Mm-hmm. And we had a couple guys last year who were nice JV players who are ready for that kind of next role. Yeah. And that's Arion Thomas and Jermaine Woods, guys that hardworking in the off season, great kids. And really fit a need for us, and that's perimeter shooting for Arion. And Jermaine hopefully is going to be able to be physical and tough enough inside offensively and defensively be able to step right in and help. We picked up Jordan Moore as a junior transfer. I think he's going to be able to step right in and help lead the offense. You know, if there was an Achilles heel for us, I think maybe at least last year was being able to handle the ball. And Jordan just doesn't give the ball away. You know, he's tough. He keeps the ball low to the ground. He understands the game and takes pride in his passing. And the guys really like playing with him. So he's fit in, done a nice job. He's got some things to work on, but so does everybody else. So he should be able to come in right away and help us. Jalen Lattimore's a freshman, a chance to, you know, super talented player, high potential for him, but at the same time, potential just means you haven't done it yet, you know. So he's gonna have growing pains, and he's gonna have things that he's been able to do in the past that in varsity basketball he may not be able to do right away. Right. And so how he's able to handle that and to be able to compete and bring energy and bring aggressiveness in practice every day, and that's the way that we set our playing time. That's the way that we set our starters, is by competing in practice. Right. And he's done a nice job, and he'll continue to do a nice job. Let's see, we've got Preston Barker, who's a sophomore transfer in, new to the program as well. He's right there as well, you know, able to kind of come in, and he's the type. Elijah Wimby's out for the year, unfortunately, with his shoulder. So Preston would be kind of in that role that Elijah had last year. Making a lot of winning plays, getting the ball at the right person at the right time, you know, those types of things. And Preston understands the game. He plays hard, and he's another one that's got a chance to compete for some minutes.
Well, right there you see head coach Jeremy Rausch knows quite a bit about his roster and breaking it down for you right there. Coach Rausch, finally, well, before we get there, as the season's getting ready to start here, practice is just getting underway. With all the players you mentioned, you're meshing in the chemistry that you're going to need to have. What are your overall expectations, conference-wise and out-of-conference-wise, overall in the 2018-19 season?
So our motto this year is to value the pursuit. And I like that as a whole, as a theme. And I like each one of those operative words, value and pursue. And to break that down a little bit, we want our guys to bring value to the team, you know, on and off the court. We want them to value the basketball. We want them to be energy givers and not energy takers. Right. And then the pursuit is we're always pursuing things out of our reach. And that's what that's what we want our guys to understand, is once you get to a certain level, then we're going to try to push you to that next level, individually and as a team. So once we want to, you know, if yes, our goal is to win the sectional, yes, our goal is to win the state, but our goal ultimately is to be the best that we can be. And if we're the best that we can be, then really there's nobody really that can stop us.
That's outstanding stuff right there, Coach Rausch. What a tremendous roster you have here, blending of youth and a little bit of older guys. Finally, before we wrap up this first week's edition of Take 3, practice did just start. What are you seeing in practice, and what are the upcoming events here for the Snider program?
Yes, so our practice is competitive. Everything that we do, we try to bring a sense of intensity to it. At the same time, there's a lot of learning involved, so we kind of have to take it slow with our guys that are new to the program. Our goal is by the end of this week to have all our offense, all our defense, all our out-of-bounds plays, any game plays, just throw everything at them, overwhelm them right now, and then just kind of, you know, clean up as we go along. Sure. We've got Belmont scrimmage next week. That's actually going to be a good test for us, because this is a group that they've been looking forward to for a long time. So that's going to be a good kind of test early on. And then really the last thing I wanted to say is I appreciate you being here.
Sure, yeah,
you know,
absolutely.
Obviously you're well respected in the community and in the nature of basketball, so we're excited to have you on. And I'm excited about what we call the Snider way. And some things, you know, we've got a mantra of together. We've got, you know, things that we do that we want to unify our program. Yes. And Take 3 is one thing that we do at the end of practice, and we do one thing we did well, one thing we need to improve on, and then shout out somebody for something. Yeah. And our players do that, and they shout out other players. And so that's kind of the namesake of this show is we'll take some time and we'll talk about what we did well, and we'll talk about what we need to improve on, and then we'll shout out certain players throughout the course of the season.
Outstanding. Great stuff there, Head Coach Rausch. Well, there it is, folks. First edition of the Snider Basketball Coaches Show. I'd like to thank Head Coach Jeremy Rausch, all the staff and students involved, and we look forward to the 2018-19 season, Coach.
Appreciate you.
Thanks.